What's up, everybody? Welcome back inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am doing good. It's a little slow right now in some Star Wars world.
Yes, it's a little slow. Watch everything drops tomorrow. That's how it's going to run.
Oh, well, yeah. Definitely a little build up probably till Celebration and all that.
Yes.
But thanks, everybody, for coming back and joining us. The show still must go on, even though we don't have a lot of Star Wars to talk about, but there's a little bit of news out there. Of course, thanks to our patrons for supporting the show. As always, we appreciate the support. And as we are waiting for the next series to come out, which is Andor Season 2. Me and my daughter actually talked this weekend about rewatching the first one, starting to rewatch the first one. I really do want to do that.
Yes.
Because I haven't really seen it. I mean, I think I saw every episode when it came out, but then I think I only rewatched maybe a couple of the episodes, so it's been a while. In fact, I kind of even forgot some of their names. Like, I couldn't even tell you what's,
Uh-oh.
yeah, see, like some of those guys, I don't even remember their names. So I got to
See what, who's, I was like, oh, no.
I remember Bix, right? Bix
Yeah.
is but what's the annoying guy's name? The annoying Imperial? Was it Surreal or something like that?
Cyril?
Is that, yeah, okay. So that's starting to come back a little bit anyway. But that's by far, I feel like, the best series so far that they've live action one that they, I think you're still on the Mandalorian, right?
No, I still think Andor is better.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think
Okay.
season 1 of Mandalorian is up there.
Yeah.
And I think was the trailblazer.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So it deserves its respect up there.
Yeah. Let's see. Wanted to mention Thrawn, who talked about on our last episode, which we talked about those kind of casting rumors that have been going around, like Chris Pine and
Yes.
and of course Natalie Portman, which he says, I really hope Natalie Portman returns as in season 2 of Ahsoka. Surely it would be for more than a cameo. I can't imagine they would go to the trouble of getting her for just one scene. I feel like I need a whole Clone Wars flashback episode with them all in it. Padme, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka on a mission, destroying some B1s and taking down a corrupt separatist. I'm sold. Ryan Gosling and Chris Pine are both great actors. They can see Chris Pine playing an X-Wing pilot for sure, and Ryan Gosling being some bounty hunter / smuggler playing that Blade Runner type role.
Oh.
Thanks, Dave and Hannah. May the Force be with you. So, yeah, those are some big names that it seems like they're trying to attach to. So that'd be fantastic. So,
Indeed.
one thing that you kind of reached out to me about was this Galaxy's Edge news. What did you find out?
So there are some pictures, and there's a hint that we might see Luke Skywalker walking around Batuu. But this means it would be the older Luke Skywalker, the Luke Skywalker we see in the sequels.
Well, that begs the question.
It does, but if he's walking around Batuu and Batuu is time sensitive.
I know, but I saw the picture, and that's not old Luke, though.
I know it's not, and that's why I'm so confused. Why take the pictures in Batuu if it's not the older Luke? This is why I sent it to you, because the pictures confused me.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think it clearly looks like it's Mandalorian Luke.
Which also makes me go, okay, because I know it's like, oh, Mando's walking around with Grogu. Okay, but
he's not. That's the thing. He's not walking around.
No, he's okay.
He only comes out like as an appearance, So that's the thing right now, and that's a good little thing to talk about. I think is that they are still kind of stuck in this sequel trilogy timeline.
Yeah.
And so the First Order stormtroopers and Kylo Ren and Rey, they're still walking around.
Yes.
But Mando there's like there's sections in the parks where there's like character greetings.
Yes, there's a whole Star Wars launch bay where you could go see Vader.
Yes, because Vader can't be in Batuu,
No,
right?
cannot.
Correct. And well, Chewbacca has a meet and greet there. So does it used to be BB-8, but I don't know if they're doing that anymore. But you're right, Vader doesn't go in Batuu, but Mando with Grogu, there's like a little section where they have a little meet and greet where they can come out, they just do some pictures and stuff like that, then they go away. They don't walk around because they're not in the timeline, right? So that's where I think that's probably what's going to happen with Luke, I think.
Which is really interesting because back when they did Star Wars weekends,
Right.
you could meet young Luke, young Leia. You could meet Anakin. You can meet Padme. You can meet Kid Fisto. You can meet, like, the list goes on and on. They even had the Cantina band just randomly walking around playing instruments. Like,
Yep.
it's not. That's why I'm like, wait. So it's young Luke. It's not, or sorry, middle-aged Luke, or I don't know what Luke are we going to call this?
Call Mando Luke. Because he showed up in Mandalorian, right?
So it's going to be Mando Luke. Then why take your pictures in Batuu? You're just confusing everyone now.
I know. Unless that's, I think we've mentioned this and talked about this a lot, but it's like it's worth talking about still is how good of an idea is it to try to keep this place tied to a timeline? Because they have already established that Batuu has spanned over different eras. Because in what book is that? Is it? It's either the Thrawn book. I think it's Thrawn, right? Thrawn Alliances, where it's the Thrawn runs into Anakin at Batuu.
Yes.
Right. And then there's a book in the High Republic, or I think it's a junior novel that takes place in the High Republic at Batuu. So this place has been around for a long time.
Right.
So why not? I'll always say it. Remove everything in Galaxy's Edge that has anything to do with the First Order or the Resistance, any flags, because they have flags and stuff like that. So, like, remove all that stuff. Just make it a spaceport kind of place, like, just like a normal place.
Right.
And anyone could be just rolling around in there. Doesn't matter what era, right? Or else you maybe stick to an era at certain times. I don't know. That's.
I mean, I'm all for just making it ambiguous, like the Avengers campuses, just making it kind of ambiguous.
Right.
The problem is you have Rise of the Resistance and you have Smuggler's Run, where the rides are integrated into that time in that place. So it's very difficult to separate it. I don't know how you separate it. And also, if you think about it, all of the content coming out, all the new content, it's not focused on the sequels.
None of it is.
None of it is. It's on the originals and the prequels. So there is no additional content to go into to explore beyond that.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what the answer. And you're right. You can do stuff. You can solve the issue regarding the place in general, but you can't solve it with the rides. I mean,
no. But that's okay, because I think
that's probably okay.
Get away with the rides because other rides do that. They put you in a specific time, but you're able to suspend. Like, for example, Snow White's minecart. You are taken into that time. So you could argue you could do the same for Rise of the Resistance and for Smugglers.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also opens up the possibility of, try to add another experience or ride and just put it in a different era.
But the problem with but the other reason why that continuity is ruined too is you have Star Tours in a different area.
Yeah.
So you already have this disconnect. So I can understand why someone's like, well, it makes no sense to connect the two, especially now since you're going to have Monsters Inc. land, supposedly, because supposedly that's replacing Muppet Vision 3D, Pizza Rizzo. You're going to have that separating the two.
Yes.
We've been to Disney too many times. Have you
I
noticed?
yeah, I tell you what, it's been several years since I even rode Star Tours.
Oh, you
And
have to ride it because they added Ahsoka, they added Mandalorian, they added.
yeah, but yeah, I'm not actually a big fan of Star Tours.
Really?
Well, for one, I'm not a big fan of just like those 3D rides like that. Like
Oh,
they
okay.
get me, even with like motion sickness stuff. It's like, it's really rough.
I got you.
It's so fast, you know? But you know, it's just not my type of ride. I mean, even Falcon's kind of the same thing, but you're actually controlling it. You know, that's what makes
Right.
it.
And you could choose to be an engineer or a
Yes.
gunfighter where you don't have to, if you don't want to look, you don't have to look. Meanwhile, if you're a pilot, you kind of have to
Kind
look.
of have to look. Yeah. No. And that part doesn't get me because it's not as fast as Star Tours. Like Star Tours, the fast part's like when it's like flying down to the planet and then you're like doing all this stuff. And I don't know. I just when Star Tours was the only thing there, Star Wars wise, it was great because you know. But I don't know if you've probably noticed though. Like every time I've gone, it's like a 10-minute wait. Like it's
It's
like no
got
one's really riding it.
No, it's gotten longer. Last time I went there, it was a 30-minute wait.
Well, maybe maybe it's just the time you were at, but like even
I
30
don't.
minutes is not that long though.
It's not long comparatively, but it's long
Yeah,
considering how
because
short the line.
if that was 30 minutes, that means everything else was probably like Rise of Resistance was probably 2.5 hours.
I
So
don't remember
it's
comparing price, but
it's usually a walk on, especially towards the end of the day or early on.
Star Tours though is always a special. There's always a special place in my heart for Star Tours.
Yeah, and again, I think I mean they can't do it because it would be too massive of a thing. But it's like that to me that would be fine if you put that in Batuu.
I wonder if there's a way because what they did with Toy Story Mania is they didn't uproot the track of Toy Story Mania.
They
That
changed the
track
entrance.
remained. They just moved the entrance. So I
That's right.
almost wonder where Star Tours is placed, and I don't know the map well enough to think. But could you flip the entrance to the other side?
I don't know with that Monsters Land going there. That's gonna be
Yeah,
tough. I think
probably not.
probably
Especially
not.
with it going there.
But you know, again, it's like it is separate. It is kind of a separate thing. So
Have I ever told you the story how I think I'm the person who started the implementation of the yellow straps on
you
this?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
said that on here.
and that
Yeah.
was on Star Tours.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why Star Tours has a
Have you ridden Hyperspace Mountain?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
I did. It was random. We were in California and it just
Now that I wish they would make permanent.
that was so cool.
That is awesome.
That was amazing.
Okay, and so for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, during leading up to, because I went in June. I think it's like right around Star Wars Day, like right around early May. They turned Space Mountain in California, just in Disneyland. They turn it to Hyperspace Mountain, which means, and the best part about it is I remember the first time I rode it, I was like, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew some Star Wars themed, right? So you get in the ride, the Space Mountain ride, and which is different than Disney World, it's like a tunnel on the ramp up, right? It's like a little tunnel, whereas the one in Disney World, you're like, you can see the other car, and you're going between like a model space shuttle with some astronauts. Well, this is a tunnel, and right when you enter the tunnel, the freaking Star Wars music kicks in.
It's amazing.
And I'm like, holy, now this it. And then when you're flying through the ride, they've got like the Star Destroyers and there's lasers, from like the X-Wings and the TIE Fighters. We were like blown away. We kept riding it. I mean, it was so fun.
I don't remember a lot about Disneyland, but that is one of the things that's stuck in my memory.
Yes.
It was
I was so like, they need to do this at Disney World. But I don't know,
But then that's in Magic Kingdom, so.
Well, Disneyland, Disneyland's not, that part's in
true.
Tomorrowland too, right? So,
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah.
but
Hey, Disney, listen up. Do it. Do
I
it.
know, right? But again, that's just like a Star Wars ride. It's not like a theme thing. And
Yeah.
in Batuu. But Batuu, you know, just I don't know. I part of me. I mean, surely they thought this through. Like it almost feels like they didn't really think it through for the future.
Well, no, like part of me thinks, especially with the how the Halcyon,
A halcyon, yeah,
they all thought, oh, this is going to take off. All of
yes,
this is going to take off. And part of me does regret not ever scrapping the money together to do it.
yeah,
But at the same time, I'm looking at the videos and I'm just like, I would have felt ripped off.
I know.
Like, I wonder. It does feel like there was not a lot of thought put into it. Into the detail, there was a lot of thought, like Oga's Cantina and using the rec spot from the old Star Tours as the DJ. Like, they thought through all of that. They thought through all the details.
I know. Yep.
But I don't know if they were thinking ahead. And if they
No.
were, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during that meeting.
Same.
Because I would love to know what was their overall thought. And maybe their thought was, hey, it's supposed to hype this up, but then these are the steps how we're going to make Batuu more mainstream and make it more ambiguous time-wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I agree with you. I think, you know, and it's one thing, and it was one thing to, because when did it open? I think it was
It wasn't
2001, 2021. It was like right after COVID, I think, right?
I went to opening weekend. It was, so I was at,
Because I was wearing a mask when I first walked in there the first
so it
time.
had to have been 2021, right?
So I feel like, or 2020, or at the end of 2020.
Oh, man, I'm going to have
Because
to.
I went to, no, I think it was 2021. I'm pretty sure it was 2021. But anyway.
Yeah,
but
it was May, I think.
But regardless, and I know you couldn't wait to do this because you didn't really know, but you know, it's almost one of the things where it would have benefited more, I think, had it opened before, as the movies were coming out.
Yes.
Right? But you already had all 3 movies out by the time you opened that. In fact, you didn't open it until a couple years after The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So you had the momentum a little bit, especially after COVID. But I mean, it's been 5 years since Rise of Skywalker. And like you said, there's no other stories or there's no other shows. I mean, the Rey movie coming out is still a couple years away. So you're not even getting there to that point.
Yeah.
But
And the only other story I am aware of that has a connection is Black Spire.
yeah.
That's the only other one that's like taking place in this timeline.
Yeah, there was a book. Yeah, talking about the book Black Spire Output. Black Spire, yeah, with Val Vi Marathi, right? Is the main character
from Phasma.
Yes, and she walks around. She's walking around too. But you know, yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you're gonna start throwing in characters from different eras, I mean, it's like you're already kind of, and that's the thing too, is they do it kind of, if we want to say worse, they do it worse than Disneyland because, you know, Sabine is walking around there, Ahsoka's walking around there now, Hera's Hera, you can do meet and greets. They've got all those characters out there.
That means that they have to, they're going to start to, I don't know, that tells me they're going to start to say, hey, Batuu is over several timelines. It's
Correct.
not just.
Yep.
I do remember. No, not in Disney World. Vi was walking around, but I felt so bad for Vi because nobody went to her. She was just walking around and nobody knew who she was, but I did. And I'm like, I'm going to get a picture. And you could tell the person who was friends with Vi was like, oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
Like,
Same, because like I had the book before we went, and she's on the cover of the book, and I was telling my daughters about her. And honestly, I don't think I realized that she was at Galaxy's Edge, like walking around.
Oh, I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I saw her, and I'm like, wait, that's.
Yeah, that's what my daughter saw her. She was like, "Wait a minute, is that Vi?" I'm like, "Oh my god, it is Vi." And then the same thing. We went up to her. No one was really talking to her, and because she looks like, I mean, she's not. I mean, she does dress the clothes, but she has a bright orange jacket. But I mean, it's like anybody technically could have worn that. You know, it's like,
Yeah, and it's a wig that anybody who
it's a
wants
blue. Yeah, if you don't know, you
over.
don't know. So
And like the thing is that if you've been there for Star Wars weekend, you see people in, like, you want to talk about cosplay. You see people like, it was to the point where there were, I don't know this for a fact, but this is my prediction. There were cast members on standby to talk to specific people who looked exactly like the characters, saying, "Hey, it's okay you're dressed like this. People can take photos with you, but you are not allowed to do autographs."
I was about to say, because they do a good job of like not letting you do that, right? You
Well,
can't.
this was years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking when I was in middle school.
Yeah, now you can't even do it. I don't think.
No, but when
Yeah.
I was in middle school, like, there was this one guy who he looked like Hayden Christensen, and he dressed full Anakin with the Sith contacts.
Oh yeah, I've seen people at Star Wars Celebration like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
would like have fun at the park, and cast member, and I talked to him because we were in line for some trivia thing. And he's like, "Yeah, I had so many cast members already come up to me verifying that I'm only doing pictures and not doing autographs." So so just because of that, you take one look at Vi and you're like, "Oh, that's just somebody who's a Star Wars enthusiast." But if you
Right.
know Vi, then you know, "Oh, no, that's an actual character here."
Yeah. 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 So I think they speaking of the Halcyon, do you know did you see the article where they said they're converting it to offices? It's like,
Which,
man,
makes sense.
it totally makes sense. You got to use it, but
Cough, cough, I want to work in that office. Hey,
I was hoping they would turn it into something else Star Wars. I mean,
that would be cool. But hey, can we have our company just rent out a floor? And can we just work out of there?
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know how many rooms they had in that place, but yeah, I mean, you got a lot. That's a lot of offices, probably.
Oh, that's probably a lot of offices. I hope they keep, like, my thing is, it would be such a shame because knowing Disney, they put every attention into detail. It would be a shame to see all of the attention to detail that went into the Halcyon be put to waste if they have to take it away to turn it into offices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm with you. I wish they turned it, like, how cool would it be? You know how Harry Potter World has a thing where a bunch of people go into a room, they learn about the wands, and then one wand is presented to one person randomly. And I know they have the whole saber building thing, but what if this was like hey, you're going to go through the Jedi trials?
Yeah.
Like, what if it was something like that?
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's what it was definitely lacking was some driven activity, or because the whole thing with the Halcyon was they were trying to sell this thing as like basically a space cruise, right? You're going away for 2 days and you're spending the night, but here's the thing, they should have built it like a little bit more like a cruise where you have like a pool and people can like do stuff.
I was about to say, as soon as they threw story into it, you start complicating it.
Absolutely.
Immensely. You should have just kept it as a Star Wars themed crew.
Yes.
You could still have cast members be characters.
Yes.
And like have their own backstory. And maybe and maybe there are like little secret missions between the backstories you learn, but it's not anything that's so significant as like this is part of the story.
Right.
Of Star Wars.
Yeah,
it could be like all of a sudden this one time you talk to the bartender and he drops like, hey, there's a secret sabacc room, which is like a little speakeasy. And then you can go back to the sabacc room and you see, I don't know, the pikes there and you see the huts there. And all of a sudden you're learning more about the crime syndicate. And then you're like, oh, I want to do this again. But next time I want to go to the pool and I want to talk to so-and-so and figure out what their story, like, make it more interactive like that.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
You know what, Dave? I think I know what we need to do. We need to petition for us to run the Star Wars themed park of the Disney franchise.
Yeah, co VPs of creative for Batuu. I mean, I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. Star Wars, whatever. Yeah, hopefully they got some Star Wars people, working on that. But
Who knows?
we'll see. I think and we'll see where this goes as far as like if Luke, because it doesn't feel like Luke is going to be. What's it? Oh, and that's the thing too is I bet you this whole Luke thing is just Disneyland again because that's where all these characters are going. They're not even coming to
Word.
right because like you got Boba Fett that was at Disneyland. Boba Fett and Fennec walked around.
Yep.
And then I saw shots of Ahsoka, saw shots of Sabine, Hera, and now Luke. So for some reason, they're not even bringing them to Disney World.
They might be testing them out in Disneyland.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. They need to get an Avengers campus over here at some point, but
I think you and I talked about this, how contractually they can't do
they
that.
can't. No, they can't. Yeah.
Which is a shame.
They don't have the theme park rights.
Right. Yet
East of the Mississippi is what the freaking line is. It's just crazy.
But hey, at least we have the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which is
yes, it is awesome. It is awesome. Okay, so another little bit of news. There has been a new hire at Lucasfilm. His name is Derek Hoffman, and he is the new VP of Development. And for those of you who don't know Derek Hoffman, he's best known for working on the Fox X-Men franchise. He was a associate producer for the X-Men Days of Futures Past, which is probably, in my opinion, probably the best X-Men film.
That was a really good film.
And an executive producer on the TV series Legion and The Gifted. Now,
oh no!
What?
Oh, he replaced Rain Roberts, who co-developed The Acolyte.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, Rain's been there for a while, so yeah, there's not any really news what happened, but she is not in that role anymore, and now Derek is in that. So, yeah.
So I'm quickly reading this article on him.
Yeah, he's been around, went to Indiana University.
Yeah.
Worked in film, video game, comic book industry, so.
Okay, this will be interesting. Yeah. I mean, the X-Men is a great franchise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So at least we know that he's used to the whole franchise world.
Now, I guess we gotta, I feel like most people may know this, but, I think it might helpful to explain what does that even mean, development, the vice president of development.
Yeah, sorry.
So for those of you that don't really know that what that means really, what that word is like, because if you look at their I was going to go to Lucasfilm's website. So if you go to Lucasfilm website and kind of look at their leadership tree and whatnot, right? You have Kathleen Kennedy up there. You've got a woman named Lynwen Brennan, who is the president general manager. You've got Carrie Beck. A lot of people should know Carrie Beck's name. She's been with Dave Filoni pretty much since the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And now she has moved up to EVP, executive vice president. Now she's live action development and production.
Awesome.
Of course, you got Dave Filoni, who's the executive vice president and the chief creative officer, right? Then you got Momita here. She's the EVP of physical production. And then Pippa is SVP of post-production. I don't see, is Hoffman on this page yet? I don't even know if he's on. There he is. Derek Hoffman, vice president of development.
Okay.
So you got like physical production, kind of the categories: physical production, development. You got live action development. You got animation development. You got different categories here of that. So obviously, physical production is pretty easy, right? They're in charge of the actual execution, like
Yeah.
the cameras and the people and making sure it gets made. Now, development is kind of self-explanatory, it's somewhat, but you always hear something in development. Basically, what that means is that, in the short of it, there's a high probability that whatever they're working on is not ever going to get made.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Development's like, I created this wonderful invention. Let me present it to the public.
Yeah.
Oh, you smashed it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't love it anyway. Let me create another robot.
Yeah. That's what's the crazy thing is these development people, they literally could be working on something for like 5 years,
And then
nothing ever happens. It's crazy.
And then what's crazier is 10 years later, somebody's going to go, hey, didn't you have that idea 10 years ago? And then they're like, why, yes, I did. And then all of a sudden it becomes a reality.
That's true.
It's crazy.
It is. It's, learning that stuff, it's like one of the things where you would think everything that kind of, not everything, I know not everything, but, when an idea comes up, well, I'll tell you what fascinates me most about development is I get it. Like if I go to you and say, man, I got this great idea. I want to do Obi-Wan season 2. I want him to go like fight Vader again, but this time not on, right back on Tatooine, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, let's not do that. Or, yeah, I love that. Let's do it. And then to me, it's like, okay, we're off. But that's not the case, because what happens is most executives would say, okay, well, go like make 10 minutes of it and let me see what it looks like. So then we go spend money, which is the craziest thing. We might go spend a couple $100,000 just to make a little portion of it to say, here, Hannah, now what do you think? Do you want to make this now? Actually, that looks pretty good. Just make one episode.
Yep.
And then we'll see what happens. So then you go spend about $1 million making an episode, a pilot, right? And then it'll come, hey, what do you think about this? Let's make the whole series now. You know what? We can't really get Ewan McGregor anymore, so we're just going to scrap it and move on. Or
it's really, let's test it in front of audiences. Let's get a study together. And then, they didn't like it, so sorry.
Yeah, so you want to talk about dumping money. I mean, there's so much money spent. I'm not going to say wasted. So much money spent in development.
I was about to say it's not wasted because you'll never know if an idea works unless you see it. You can create the best storyboard in the world. Yeah. You can create the best deck or presentation of the show in the world. Nothing is going to change their mind unless they get a visual on it. And you and I could talk about this because we're part of a company that's involved in that world, or at least
Yeah, we're developing.
Yeah, we're in development.
So I'm saying it's a lot of money.
It's a lot. Yeah, you know more than me. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Except when I come to you, I'm like, Dave, I'm sorry, we're gonna go over budget again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's wild. It's wild how much they spend in something. And that's the thing too. It's like you could spend, that's the risk, right? You could spend like $10 million making 10 different pilots. And then that 10th one, you'd be like, yes, let's go with that one. And you could put that out and you're so much in the hole, you may not ever get out of it. And that's why a lot of companies, don't make it, because they spent so much money on trying to make something and then finally find something and they're like, this is it. And then it doesn't really hit the mark. And then you do that several times. And that's when companies go out of business or they shut down, they get bought by some other, but then again, that one there could fund the rest of your development for like 5 years, right? So that's what the goal is,
And I think the most frustrating part is that you could be full-heartedly behind an idea. You know, you've done the research. This is going to do well. And it all depends really on the person viewing it and what they had for breakfast.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they had a delicious breakfast, they're going to love it. If they had a stinky breakfast, they're going to be grumpy and they're not going to like it. And it
Hmm.
stinks that it's that out of your hands.
Yes. That's true. That's true. Anyway, good job, Derek Hoffman. We'll see how that works out. But yeah.
And talk to
That's
Dave.
actually,
He's got a couple of ideas for development.
yeah, definitely. I see some new, at least I haven't looked at this in a while. There's a lot of new faces in Lucasfilm here. Looks like, except the top. The top, it's all pretty much the same people.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised Kathleen Kennedy's still there. She's been there
I
a
am
long time.
surprised as well. Not that I'm like, I don't like Kathleen. It's
No, exactly. Yeah, right.
whatever politics are going on with that. I don't think I want to know.
Right. Yeah. The only other thing is Lucasfilm, actually StarWars.com put it out there that there is a new book just got announced, Star Wars Sanctuary, which is a Bad Batch novel.
Oh.
Yep. The cover art has been revealed on this. It is coming out looks like August 5th of this year. It takes place during season 2. So Tech is in this book.
No. Our Tech.
Yeah. So, yeah. Check.
Speaking of Bad Batch, I think it's worth mentioning that the Bad Batch won Best Animated Television Series or Special in the 2025 Saturn Awards.
You're right. It did. That's true.
And well deserved.
Yes.
Especially for season 3, well deserved.
Mm-hmm. That was, yeah. So it was season 3, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, they just
That
said
kinda
the show, but I'm assuming it's
because of season 3. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
speaking of books, I think it's also worth mentioning that, even though there is a lull in Star Wars, there isn't a lull on Inside the Force. Dave and I have a couple of Beyond the Sagas coming out.
We do.
One
We do.
was released today, right?
This past week. Yeah.
This past week.
Yeah. On Wednesday, I think I put it out. Yeah. We talked about the Vader comic, the next part of the Vader comic called The Burning Seas. And yeah, we got a couple of other ones. Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good will be out soon. And then Rise of the Red Blade. We talked about, yeah. And we're going to keep continuing doing some comics and things like that. I actually, speaking of that, I did, one of our perks on Patreon is I'm going to start doing some comic reviews. I've been wanting to do that.
Ooh.
But I'm trying to catch up. But a new comic just dropped this past week, which was it's called Star Wars Legacy of Vader. And it's funny that we just talked about like nothing takes place during the sequel trilogy. Well, this takes place right after The Last Jedi.
What?
Yes. And it's Kylo Ren's journey between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
So I started reading that, and it is interesting. It's a really interesting. It's literally takes place right after the Battle of Crate, and he leaves Crate and gets back on a Star Destroyer, and he's the new Supreme Leader, and everybody's kind of following behind him, but he's still in this path of trying to kill the past. Like he thinks it's just still keep holding him back from his true power. And the first place he goes to kill his past is he goes to Mustafar and Vader's castle.
What?
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So
I'm gonna have to dive into that.
Yeah, in the next issue he's going to Tatooine.
Okay.
Yes, I know. So interesting. It is interesting. And I'm going to read along with that one and talk about that one on Patreon. So, and then we'll do it Beyond the Saga if when they're all done. But
Absolutely.
I think it's only it's on one of those only like 5-issue runs or 6-issue runs. So.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, this month, I'm looking forward to, on February 25th, Reign of the Empire, which is the big novel about kind of Mon Mothma and the Senate. And, obviously they're trying to lead up to Andor coming out here in April, right around Star Wars Celebration. So
awesome.
Well, that's all I got. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
I mean, we were able to still talk for 40 minutes. That's good.
I was about to say, every time we're like, oh, there's very little going on. No.
Yeah. But yeah, Star Wars Celebration is coming here in April in Japan. Definitely a little buzz going on right there. I feel like there's not as much buzz for it as there usually is when it's in the States, but
right.
It is in Japan, and they've got some announcements online about some of the celebrities that'll be there. I think Oscar Isaac was announced that he's going to show up there. So
okay,
that's pretty big.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty big for Oscar to be there. And the biggest get is if they do get Natalie Portman to go there, then you're like, then she's in, so.
And then she's not going to talk about it. That's not going to be released until she walks on stage.
Well, true. Probably, yeah. Agreed. All right, everybody, thanks again for tuning in and checking us out. Go to youtube.com/Inside the Force if you want to check out all of our shows, especially Beyond the Saga that Hannah was talking about. Go check out the latest one there, as well as all the ones we've done before that. Got some Calcium sessions they're going to be doing with Martin here soon as well. So then if you want to get some extra content on Patreon, we're there as well if you want to sign up for one of our tiers there. And I think, I got to add our, which I'll do this weekend. I got to add our kind of our Discord, get that going a little bit, because I got they got the Patreon people saying we should do that. So anyway, thanks, Hannah, as always.
Thank you, Dave, as always.
Have a good weekend. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.